All right, this is of the civil principality, chapter 9. But let us consider the other alternative, when a private citizen becomes prince of his native state through the favor of his fellow citizens, and not through wickedness or some violence that proves intolerable to the citizens. Such a principality can be called a civil principality, since to acquire it, the prince does not have to depend entirely on skill or fortune, but rather on a fortunate astuteness. One acquires his principality through the favor of either the people or the nobles, because in every city there are two opposing humors. One acquires his principality through the favor of either the people or the nobles, because in every city there are two opposing humors. Yeah, the people, regulars, and the people with power, and whether celebrity or power with money. This arises from the fact that the nobles want to command and oppress the people, but the people do not want to be commanded or oppressed by the nobles. These two opposing impulses within a city will result in one of three outcomes: a principality, liberty, or anarchy. The principality is brought about by the people or the nobility, depending on which has the opportunity. When the nobles see that they cannot stand up to the people, they put all their support behind one of their own, making him prince so they can satisfy their ambition in the safety of his shadow. And the people, finding that they cannot stand up to the nobility, put all the support behind one man and make him prince in the hope that his authority will shield them. So that's a principality, huh? That's kind of like what's, I guess, America. It's kind of like how they use Trump or maybe even Biden right now. A prince who obtains a state with the help of the people maintains his position with less difficulty than a prince who maintains or acquires it with the help of the nobility, because in the latter case he is surrounded by men who consider themselves his equals and whom he therefore cannot command or govern as he pleases. But a prince who acquires a principality through the favor of people is unhampered. Only a few in a circle are unready to obey him. Furthermore, one cannot satisfy the nobles in a manner that is just and does not harm the people, but one can so satisfy the people because their aspirations are more than just those of the nobles. The nobles want to oppress them, but the people want only not to be oppressed. Moreover, a prince cannot shield himself against a populace that is hostile toward him, because there are too many of them. But he can shield himself against the nobles, as they are few in number. The worst that a prince can expect from a hostile populace is for them to abandon him. But from hostile noblemen he has also to fear their conspiring against him. Noblemen, having more foresight and cunning, tend to act in time to save themselves, and are quick to seek out those who have are quick to seek out those they hope will prevail. The prince is constrained always to live with that same populace, but he can do well enough without those noblemen, as he is able to make and unmake them at will, giving and taking away their power as he pleases. To clarify this point, I propose that noblemen must be considered in two ways. Either they link themselves entirely to your destiny, or they do not. Those who link themselves to you and are not greedy should be honored and loved. Those who do not are acting out of pusillanimity and a natural lack of courage. You should make use of those among them who offer good counsel, because in prosperity they will bring you honor, while in difficult times you need not fear them. But if out of malicious design and ambition they do not align themselves with you, it is a sign that they are thinking more of themselves than of you. A prince must be on his guard against them. He should fear them as if they were declared enemies, because in adversity they will inevitably help to bring about this ruin. So like in bad times, they're not going to be there to support you. They're kind of happy that happens to you. Even whether they're like part of you falling down, they see it, but they're not even going to help. It's like if they see you struggling, you walk into a room, you see someone's about to kill themselves, they didn't see you, so you walk away. And yet he who becomes prince through the favor of the people must keep the people on his side. This should be simple enough, as all they ask of him is that he not oppress them. But he who becomes prince through the favor of the nobility against the will of the people must make it a priority to win over the people, which is easy enough if he becomes their protector, because men, when they encounter benevolence where they expected harm, show greater gratitude to their benefactor, and the populace becomes even more supportive than if the prince had acquired the state through their favor. And the prince can earn this favor in many ways, but as these vary greatly depending on the circumstances, one cannot lay down a fixed rule. I will only conclude that a prince must have the people on his side, otherwise he will not have support in adverse times. So it's kind of like, if you were brought by the people, you really need to figure out your noblemen and keep those good ones with you and get rid of the bad ones. But if you are brought by the noblemen, it's very important that you get the people on your side, and it seems that it's easy. You just have to be nice to them because they're expecting you to be mean. Prince Nabi of Sparta fended off a siege led by the whole of Greece and an illustrious Roman army, managing to save the state and the city of his birth. He overcame the danger, having to protect himself against only a few of his subjects, an endeavor that would have failed had the populace been against him. And let nobody respond with the trite proverb that he who builds upon the masses builds upon sand, because this proverb holds only when a private citizen builds a foundation on the populace in the hope that they will come to his rescue when he is in trouble with magistrates or his enemies. In this case, he might find himself disabused, as were the Gracchi in Rome and Giorgio Scali in Florence. But if a prince builds a foundation on the populace and can command, and is a man of courage, unruffled in adversity, who has taken his precautions, a man who has made himself popular with the people through his spirit and government, he will never be abandoned by the populace. Principalities tend to be vulnerable when they move from civil to absolute order, because princes command either directly or through magistrates. So it's like when you want to be like, when everything was kind of civil, and then you want to be a dictator. People don't like that shit. In the later case, the prince finds his position weaker and more dangerous because he is at the mercy of citizens who have become magistrates. They can, particularly in adverse times, easily take the state away from him, either by abandoning him or by opposing him. Once this happens, the prince no longer has time to establish his absolute authority, because the populace are used to following the orders of the magistrates and will not obey the prince's orders during difficult times. In adversity, he will find that there was a lack of people he can trust, because a prince in his position cannot rely on his experience during times of peace, when citizens are in need of the state and fall all over each other with promises, eagerly proclaiming that they are willing to die for him when death is at a safe distance. But in adverse times, when the state needs its citizens, only a few are to be found. This experience is all the more dangerous in that it can be experienced only once. Therefore, a wise prince must find a way in which his citizens will consider him and the state to be indispensable in every circumstance and at all times. Then his citizens will be always faithful. This experience is all the more dangerous in that it can be experienced only once. Therefore, a wise prince must find a way in which his citizens will consider him and the state to be indispensable in every circumstance and at all times. So you gotta create like a confident, consistent, showing that you really care about being a prince. Like, it's all about being real no matter what you do. No matter what you do, and not being phony and fake with nothing. That's why it's good to know that you're in control of everything. Like, you're in control of who you want in your life. You want friends that you like to be around. Don't go around people you feel unhappy around, If that's the case, it's better to be friends from a distance, and do things that create healthy environments with people, and know the kind of people you're hanging out with, Take your life and your life and longevity on earth as a business, as if you're a prince. Conquer your own soul, Be in control of your own spirit. Know who's around you, know what kind of situations you get in with people, That was a great chapter. Peace, y'all.